Before we get started, a quick disclaimer. This podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. Nothing shared here should be taken as legal or medical advice, and listening to this podcast does not create an attorney-client or consulting relationship. Every case is unique and laws vary by jurisdiction, so always consult with a qualified attorney or appropriate professional regarding your specific situation. Now that we've got that covered, let's get into it.
Welcome to the Attorney's Resource Legal Nurse Podcast, where we usually interview personal injury, medical malpractice, criminal, workers' compensation attorneys, healthcare attorneys in learning how to or talking about bridging medicine and law. But today we bring to you a very special guest. I am very excited about this opportunity. Sheikh Ali is somewhat famous in the LinkedIn world. And for me, I'm excited because it is the ultimate IRL. I am just so pleased to be here sharing him with all of you. And Sheikh, would you take a minute just to give the audience a little bit of background about who you are, why you do what you do, what you do? Yes, and then we'll get into the Attorneys Resource Conference and some other things.
Sure. Well, first of all, Jamie, I want to thank you for this opportunity and for inviting me here and for allowing me to present, which I'm very excited to talk a little bit about that. But my name is Sheikh Ali. I'm the founder and CEO of SC Medical Media, where I work with clinician and healthcare executives to build out their LinkedIn presence from start to finish. The goal is threefold. Number one, to use the power of personal branding and build their authority on LinkedIn. Number two is to encourage, foster, and nurture business-to-business relationships, which can lead to lucrative partnerships. And number three, if the clients are interested, to position them strategically to create opportunities for podcast invites, just like this one, and live speaking engagements. And so I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about that and how ARC has been very instrumental in helping me spread awareness about why LinkedIn is so important.
Wonderful. I'm excited to get into all of that. I would love to know, and I do know a little bit because we have talked before, but
Right.
I would really love to know more about your history.
Yes.
How you got to where you are today.
Yes. So when I was 7 years old, I wanted to be a private practice surgeon. That was always a dream of mine because entrepreneurship runs in my family. So the private practice model was most conducive to my background. And also surgery because I was always obsessed with anatomy from the time I was a very young child. And then fast forward 20 years, undergrad, med school, and then between third and fourth year, COVID happened. And what I noticed was that a lot of private equity and big hospital groups are buying out the private practices. And so I saw that there wasn't really a model for physicians who were young and upcoming and getting ready to finish their residency. Moving into private practice directly wasn't really as much of a viable option. So that's when I decided to pivot into social media because social media in the healthcare space became very rampant during COVID. And when I started the business January of 2023, I started with Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And then 1 year afterwards, in January 2024, I decided to hone in on LinkedIn specifically because I like the business to business nature of LinkedIn. And I like that the people that are on LinkedIn are much more established in their careers. And so that platform really appealed the most to me. And then it's been basically sailing ever since. It hasn't always been smooth. It hasn't always been easy. But the legal nurse consulting and physician expert witness community has been a very integral part in growing my business. And I'm very blessed that I've worked with approximately 50 legal nurse consultants and physician experts combined.
Wow, that's a good number. Our community is probably just actually really a small part of what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're talking, I'm thinking about, when I go see my provider, I just accept the referral.
Right.
So I've never really thought until your presentation. I mean, we do search, right? As legal nurses, we're always searching who's out there, who's the best, who would we go to? But just the value in that social media. Can you talk a little bit about that? How does that help the general provider?
Right.
Do they really need to be on social media, or can they just count on referrals from each other?
I think that if we're talking about just the healthcare space and not necessarily medical legal, I think it depends on the specialty that the physicians are in, because there are certain specialties such as dermatology and plastic surgery that have more of an aesthetics focus. And so for that, I think Instagram or TikTok is a much more advantageous social media platform. Now, for somebody who is more of a clinician leader, or in the case of the legal nurse consultants, who I do consider clinician leaders because many of them either work for an in-house firm or they have their own consulting practice like what you do with UpVision, I believe it's called,
Yes.
with UpVision Consulting. It's very advantageous to build out more on the LinkedIn side of things. And then also for the physicians, it goes the same way. Some physicians have their own consulting practices, especially those that are in the expert witness space, our colleagues. And so for them, LinkedIn is a more advantageous platform. So I think it really depends on what the goals are of the physician, because if they want to do more patient acquisition approach, then I think that running Facebook ads and Instagram and TikTok are better ways of acquiring patients. But if it's more of a business to business, which is in our case, the collaboration between the medical side and the attorneys, then I think that LinkedIn is way more advantageous.
So, you know, everything going through my mind really to get a degree in medicine, to get a degree in nursing, to get a degree in law, you also have to have some experience or knowledge, or at least know who to call for marketing.
Yes.
It is not something I ever even dreamed of as a registered nurse, that I would find myself having to engage in marketing to a community. But we have so many choices now.
Yes.
And you can find things good and bad, right? So yeah, that's very interesting. So here at the Attorneys Resource Conference, and for those listening, we are at the Bob in downtown Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is a beautiful big old building.
Yes, it is.
And has really served us well. We did kind of a Bob takeover, and if you get the opportunity to come down this way, take advantage of all they have to offer. But you gave a great presentation.
Thank you.
It was outstanding.
Thank you,
It was
thank
an
you.
outstanding presentation.
Lots of practice.
So lots of practice showed, but you gave it like you have been doing this for 100 years. You were so confident and so great with this presentation, but not just your appearance, the volume of information
That's the
that
goal.
you gave to this community to help them get started if they're not started, or to tweak. You know, I went looking for my profile right away when you called
Good.
me out.
That's the goal.
And you know,
That's the
I
goal.
went there and I went, wait a minute, I'm 4 on that list, not 5. But I was like, okay, how do I get there? And I think I even put that in my little comment to you, like, what? How did that happen? So can you give, there are many people that didn't make it to the ARC, and we hope to see them in 2027.
Absolutely.
So that they can get the information firsthand, but without giving the whole presentation away. Can you give them one tidbit, just one, that would be of value to hear or learn from this podcast?
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, thank you for those kind words. And it was a lot of practice, and I'm glad that the crowd was very engaged. And the fact that you took action afterwards, that's why I do what I do. And that's why I try to make it as value packed as possible. One action tip, very easy. Your headline, which is the piece of text on LinkedIn that appears underneath your name when you are commenting and when you are posting. So you have to think of that headline as, I help X do Y and Z setting. The biggest mistake that I see a lot of clinicians and even attorneys make as well is they just put their job title. And I think that doing that, you are not putting your audience first. Because when you put your audience first, when your fellow colleagues on LinkedIn are looking at your profile, then they're going to see your headline and they're going to say, okay, he is actually, or she is actually speaking to me. And so when you put them first, it will attract their eyes more to your profile. Your profile will get more discoverability, and you will rank higher on the Google search, like what we had discussed yesterday. So making sure that that headline is really altered and putting your audience first is one action tip. The headline is the most important part of the profile, because LinkedIn uses it for SEO purposes. And also LinkedIn's algorithm is going to decide who is LinkedIn going to suggest you to based on your headline. And so if you're a legal nurse consultant or a physician expert and the word attorney is featured in there somewhere, then your profile is going to start getting suggested to attorneys. And if attorneys want to network more with clinicians, then if they put it somewhere in there that they're looking to connect with clinicians in some way, shape, or form, then their profile will also match more to the clinicians.
I agree with you. I've seen it work. I actually recently did some updates to my profile.
I noticed, and I think I complimented you on that.
Yes, and I don't know exactly where it came from, but I also have read Jimmy Lai's book.
Yes, it's very
which
good.
Is giving some direction to. And I did make that change a couple of weeks ago, and within 24 hours, I had 5 profile views.
Yep.
So it just the one tweak tweak made a huge difference. And 3 of those were from my primary target market.
Perfect.
So others probably just curiosity, right? Or they're a connection of that person.
Yep.
So, that is exactly what it's supposed to do. And there's so much more. You gave us so many more things to do.
A lot of value nuggets.
That I will be going back and taking a look at that. So from the purpose of the Attorneys Resource Conference is to really bring the medical and the legal worlds together. There are many outcomes that I have in my mind as a passion, but ultimately what I really want to see from this conference is that we are bringing these worlds together to improve our practice at the bedside, improve our practice in the courtroom, but mutually and ultimately improve that level of care for the patient that both of us serve.
Right.
And if you can improve your practice before harm comes, that's what we want. But if we can't and harm comes and we find ourselves in the courtroom, then we want the law to help us improve that practice. So how does your role bridge us?
Yes, great question. So my work with the legal nurse consultants and the physician experts involves connecting with attorneys as the primary target audience. Now, let me be very clear. That's not the only target audience, but it is a primary one. And so my job in helping clinicians build out their brand on LinkedIn is to really connect with those attorneys and build those relationships online. However, one of the advantages of ARC is the fact that you bring these 3 different groups together. You have the legal nurse consultants, the physician experts, and the attorneys who are meeting IRL, as I call it, which means in real life. And I think that there's something that's so special about being able to bring all of them together under one roof. Number one, I think that it does a great job in terms of the attorneys learning a little bit more in depth how important the clinician's viewpoint, objective viewpoint is on their cases and helping them make sense of the medicine. And then on the flip side, it's also great for the legal nurses and the physician experts to connect with each other, because sometimes the legal nurse consultants and the physician experts, unfortunately, like in clinical practice, can be siloed in what they do. And so for them being able to speak to each other and collaborate, because there's always going to be, in a case, there's going to be the nurse side and then there's going to be the physician side, and having those 2 healthcare professionals being able to come together and really collaborate for the betterment of providing that objective view for the case, it is a win-win for everybody. So that's the second thing. And then I really think the third way is to blend what I call traditional networking, which is what we're doing here, the in-person, with a more modern take on networking, which is LinkedIn. Because what's going to happen is 2 things. First of all, some people are going to know us from LinkedIn.
Right.
And then so for example, when I came here the first day, somebody called me out and they didn't even see my name tag, but just because they had built that trust with me and they knew me from LinkedIn, that relationship was very easy to foster and to nurture. But also on the flip side, people who are meeting each other here for the first time, even across those disciplines, across medicine and law, they can now go and add each other on LinkedIn and continue that conversation, so that by the time ARC 2027 comes next year, you've had so many touch points of trust that have been built that by the time next year comes, it feels like you've met somebody who has been a friend for a long time rather than just a casual acquaintance or colleague.
Right. And I think as you're speaking all that, I'm going back to last night's keynote presentation on how your diamond is probably sitting right next to you.
Exactly.
And you just need to sharpen that edge. And
Right.
that's what that bridging is all about. So you are coming to the table. You do have a past history of medicine. So you do understand a lot of what is being taught at this event, but you're coming in as a LinkedIn expert, somebody engaged in marketing and understanding that. What is the greatest takeaway that you have received in your practice from this conference already?
I would say 2 things. First of all, having the chance to meet you in person.
This is fun. I like it. Yeah.
Because also, just because you have been so generous in the sense that this is my 3rd speaking engagement for the year chronologically, but you were the first one to give me the yes. And so the fact that you were so instrumental in being that first person to say yes to me speaking and having enough faith in me and enough belief in me, that really means so much. And then the second thing is also just getting a chance to meet Stephen Cohen, because he was one of the best speakers yesterday, and he was a very, very important person in my life, both personally and professionally, but especially professionally, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't know what a legal nurse consultant even is. because I worked with him to build out his LinkedIn presence. And as I was working with him, I was asked, who are these legal nurse consultants? And so he was the one that gave me insight into them. And then after that, I was introduced to a few legal nurse consultants through his posts on LinkedIn, and then the rest is history.
You know, there's an interesting phenomena that happens with legal nurse consultants. There are attorneys all over the United States that still don't know about legal nurse consultants and what the value they have to their casework and how they can help them at a very economical cost for their cases.
Right.
Not always. I mean, some cases are much larger. Those medical legal or the medical malpractice cases can get pretty heavy and deep and cost expensive. But there are many people that still do not know what legal nurses can truly do. But I think that is also part of the problem for nurses in general. And I think it just carries over into each of our specialties. We're known as a trusted profession, but nobody really knows. We're kind of a secret. What is it that we really do?
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
and I think that this conference does a great job of increasing awareness of that, because at the end of the day, a consultant, whether it's a legal nurse consultant or even me as a LinkedIn consultant, our goal is time compression. And what I do for my healthcare colleagues and my healthcare leader colleagues, and what you all do for the attorneys, is you help compress time for them so that they don't have to waste time and money trying to figure out this stuff on their own, because time is the most valuable commodity that all of us have. And the saying goes that poor people buy things and rich people buy time. And so if you want to be rich, and when I say rich, I'm not necessarily saying financially, but even emotionally, spiritually rich in that sense too, being able to work with a colleague who is in this space, who can help these attorneys really save time, effort, and also increase their understanding about the medicine of the cases. Or in the case for me, helping my healthcare professional colleagues understand more about LinkedIn and how to really leverage it to their advantage. It's a huge shift. And I'm sure that you've seen it in your clients that you work with, your attorney clients. I've definitely seen it in my healthcare clients where that light bulb moment happens, where they're like, okay, now I understand why you charge what you charge, and also why your value is so important to me.
Right. And then that's where the referrals happen.
Exactly.
And, you know, not to take it to a depth that could keep us here for 3 hours, but, you know, to even take it further, we're all here as human beings to help others grow.
Exactly.
And, you know, to take that selfishness out of this equation and look at a room full of people that are amazing resources. One conversation can shift a whole case. It can shift a medical experience. It can shift just a relationship if we are looking at how do we help our resources succeed as well.
Right.
And so, you know, that is just a much deeper level, but that's, you know, something that's also important to me is how do you help others succed?
I think you should change it to Amazing Resource Conference.
There we go. There we go. I like that. I like that. Amazing Resource Conference. We can. But I kind of liked ARC. ARC took a turn of its own. I didn't nickname it, just people started nicknaming it, so then we went and trademarked it, and that was the end of that.
And well, that also goes to show you that sometimes your clients are your best teachers.
Yes, they are. Exactly. So one of the things that I like to ask, and since you are such a public figure, one of the things that I like to ask every person on this show is, what about you, or what do you keep secret? So is there something about you that nobody knows that you're willing to share? Something fun?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I just told one or two people this recently. I am a big James Bond fanatic, as many of you know.
We know that.
Yes. So every day I will listen to at least one score from one of the Bond films.
Fun.
Yeah. So yesterday, because I gave my speech, it was Thunderball, which is one of my favorite Bond films, very classic Bond film. And so oftentimes, just depending on what mood I'm in, I'll listen to a specific, because the beautiful thing about the Bond franchise is it traverses 60 years. And so the scores from the 60s Bond films are very different to the 70s, are very different to the 80s, very different to the 90s, very different to the 2000s. And so I will listen to one score every day.
So you listen to that, but what do you do with it? Is it a motivating piece? Is it just a calming piece? Is it just a curiosity? What do you do with
It's
that?
more of just calming and just kind of gets me in the zone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So whatever works,
Yep,
right? For
exactly.
every different person, we all have our thing.
Yes,
So,
that's right.
Sheikh, I want to thank you. I don't want to end this interview at all, but I know we have sessions to get up to.
Yep, right
and
upstairs.
I do want to talk with you more privately too, not just to our audience, about lots of opportunity for ARC.
Okay.
And I am hoping that you will come back both to this podcast and to our event. So we can talk about that too.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to talking about it.
I feel very happy to have you here. Very blessed to have the opportunity to meet you in person. Is there anything else that you would like to get out there? How do people reach you?
Yes.
How do we find you? Well, we know how to find you.
Yeah, well, obviously from this conversation, right? It's going to be based. So the best way to reach out to me is on LinkedIn. Sheikh C. Make sure you put my middle initial because there are other Sheikh Alis on LinkedIn. Sheikh C. Ali, and anybody can inbox me at any time. But one fun fact about this particular trip that will be very memorable. Two things, actually. First of all, this is actually my first conference that I've spoken at that has many legal nurse consultants and also people that I call alumni clients. So people who I've actually worked with and we've already finished an engagement, they were in the audience. And so it's such a full circle moment for them to work with me virtually and now to see me on the stage. And then the second thing is this is actually my first time I've ever been to Michigan. I've never been to Michigan before, so because I'm from Miami originally, and so it's been fantastic getting a chance to. I always love exploring new places, and so it's been fantastic getting a chance to even just walk downtown in Grand Rapids and see what a really nice city it is.
So you've had an opportunity. So that is, this city is fabulous.
Yes,
it is fabulous. I just grew up about 20-25 minutes west of here. Right on Lake Michigan.
Oh, beautiful.
And so these are my old stomping grounds. So your first time, but I was excited to bring this event here because this is part of my home.
Yep.
And so to be able to showcase that, get people out in the community, the walkability here, especially downtown, you cross the Grand River, you have lots of things to engage in. There's probably, we could have taken 2 weeks for this conference to be able to see everything.
Oh yeah.
So for those watching, get to Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's great. But now I have one more question. Do we have time? We have time. So I have one more question because you have really established yourself and your personality is so wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
To be able to just naturally, you walked in the room and I naturally, even though we've only met virtually, had that experience of I've known you forever, and you just carry yourself like that from the very first day that we've had a conversation.
Well, thank you.
You carry yourself like that. So there has to be somebody in your life that really impacted how you were shaped into your future. Do you have a specific mentor?
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, I would have to give credit to both my parents because they're the ones that raised me, and both my mom and dad had their own influence in terms of how I was raised. But for me, again, everyone's going to laugh, but Sean Connery's version of 007 is my favorite version. Okay. And so just seeing him in that movie and how he carried himself with confidence, no matter who he was speaking to, I definitely take a lot of inspiration from that in terms of an actual media figure.
That's awesome. I'm a Sean Connery fan
too.
Yep. Yeah. So so that's awesome. So I want to thank you again. This has been absolutely wonderful. And to the audience, those that are listening or watching, thank you for joining us on the Attorneys Resource Legal Nurse podcast today to meet Sheikh Ali, connect with him through LinkedIn. You will not be sorry. He is the real deal. So please visit Upvision Consulting LLC, check out attorneysresource.com, and next year, get your tickets and join us here at ARC 2027. We will be announcing the location publicly soon.
have found this episode valuable, be sure to like it, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a colleague handling medically complex cases. If you are an attorney looking for deeper medical insight to strengthen your case strategy, or you are a legal nurse ready to elevate how you support litigation, I invite you to connect with me and learn more about UpVision Consulting LLC in the show notes, because stronger collaboration leads to stronger outcomes.